It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Steve Perry. Dr. Perry is the founder and principal of Capital Prep Magnet School in Hartford, Connecticut, a unique success story that has been praised by education experts across America. He is the chief CNN contributor on issues relating to education and can be seen regularly on Anderson Cooper 360 and American Morning. Dr. Perry's latest book, Push Has Come to Shove, presents his provocative and potentially transformative ideas on how to restore America's schools to greatness. He is also the author of a best-selling, self-published book, Man Up, a columnist at Essence Magazine, a frequent radio and television commentator, and a sought-after speaker at colleges and education forums across the country. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Steve Perry.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Folks, can you give it up for all the past presidents? I am humbled and honored to be among you today because I know how much talent is in the room. And we're here to celebrate teachers. I can move, right? Because this ain't for me. I don't read too good. If we're here to celebrate teachers, then we have to have a conversation, a real conversation about what teaching is and isn't. I am an educator and a principal, and this morning missed my staff meeting. So you get what they didn't get today. A couple weeks ago, my oldest son, who's 9, asked me, "Dad, do you cry?" It's a strange question, really. And I know I have to translate this for the women because the men understand that's a tough question to answer. Because it's my son, right? And I'm not supposed to cry because we work so hard as men trying to get to a place where we don't cry. Somewhere around the 4th grade, crying has to stop. Can't cry anymore. Stop crying, boy. If I give you something to cry for. Strange arrangement with parents. They give you something to cry for so you stop crying. So, I said, well, I don't understand what you mean. He said, well, because I'm buying time. He said, well, do you cry? He said, I never see you cry. So I see mom cry, I see my little brother cry, but I don't see you cry. I thought about it. You understand that there are certain places where you do want to cry, like when you're in love and then it doesn't work out. Snap. Ah! Broken heart, you cry. But and I'm thinking, I love pretty hard, and so, no, it's not there. And you start to think more and more deeply about what it is because kids have this way of asking questions, right? A kid's question is an honest question that asks you to look inside yourself. It's not just a question to find out information, even though sometimes they're so rapidly firing that you can't answer all of them. So I thought about love, and I thought about how I love what I do. I love being an educator. I love being in the schools. I love being outside, shaking every hand of every single child that comes in, welcoming them back every single day, except for today. Every single day saying to them, welcome back, son. Welcome back, young lady. Glad to see you here. Cut your hair. Wash your blazer. Looks dingy. And I thought about a man I had recently met. Young brother, his name, well, he calls himself D. Rush. He's from New Haven, Connecticut. And D. Rush, they tell me, has a lineage. They tell me that he's his father used to be a big-time drug dealer in New Haven, is what they tell me. Very, very big. And D took up the family business. And I met D at a church in a different city, which is interesting because I don't spend much time in church, and apparently he doesn't either. So we were there because there was a town hall meeting about transforming education. D and I in the same place. And I spoke. And one of the things I said is too often we blame parents for things that are our responsibility. Too often we talk about what parents should be doing when we don't look at what we are being paid to do. What the community expects of us every single day, that they let their child go to our schools. Every single day that they wake their child up, and if they have a son, remind him to wash. Because sons don't wash. And the older they get, the less they wash. And so D said, he came up to me afterwards and he said, I was back there crying. He's a tough dude. Like, you meet him, you know he's tough. He's authentic. He's the real deal. In fact, when I was introduced to him, I was talking to somebody else who used to do some things in the community, more of a community activist, and he said that was the toughest kid he had ever met. And so I asked him, brother, why are you crying? He said, because I'm a father now. I don't live that life anymore. So I gave up all that stuff. I'm reinventing myself. He said, I'm the guy who cooks now at the PTO meetings. He said, I'm there in the classroom as often as I can be. He said, and both of my kids can't read. Every single time I hear somebody complain about parents, I wonder what they're saying, because what more do you want? Do you want them to come in there and teach with you? Is that the expectation? As we sat here and we watched a woman come up and speak in Kazakh, I asked her what language it was. How many of you sat there and thought, I have no freaking idea what she's saying? It sounds real cool, but I don't even know what she's saying. She might be reading a grocery list. That's what so many of your children feel like. So many children sit in front of you and they have no idea. It's not because they're born dumb. It's not because they're incapable, but because we haven't connected with them. And to be honest with you, I ain't got to clap for one thing, because I got a ticket heading back to Hartford. We ain't got to get along at all. Because I'm not here to make friends. That's not what I do. That's not what I'm here for. What I'm here is to tell you that we can do better than this. I have visited too many of your cities and seen too many of your children and grown people who can't read. I was in Memphis, Tennessee, and I'm told in Memphis a third of the adults are functionally illiterate. A third? A third of the adults. Are we prepared to accept that in some communities, some people are just born less capable? I'm always amazed by my friends who call themselves liberals. I'm always amazed by how willing they are to understand race and racism, and how willing they are to understand class and classism. Well, they come from poor homes where they don't eat. We have free lunch and free breakfast. Well, they come from homes where nobody speaks the language. We do. We do. Well, they come from homes where nobody does their homework with them. Then stay later and do it with them. Teaching to me is a calling. It is not a profession. It is a high art, much like a singer. You can teach somebody to sing better, but you can't teach them to sing. Every single one of us knows who the bad teachers are in every single building. Every single one of y'all knows exactly who they are. Every single person in this building knows who the people in there who couldn't teach a dog to bark. Couldn't teach a tree to tree or a fish to swim. Every single one of you knows who they are. And on the day that you turn your back and act like you don't see it, you become a co-conspirator. On the day that you say, that ain't my classroom, things are all right. Kids still do what they're supposed to do in my classroom. On the day that you sit in that teacher's lounge and you listen to the things that those people are saying about those children, you are contributing to a caustic environment that will not produce the fruit that we need. When I talk about celebrating teaching, I'm talking about, I'm talking about celebrating the highest art, the highest calling that there is. Before there was a preacher, he was taught. Before there was a doctor, she was taught. Before there were singers, they were taught. Before everything that there is or was or ever will be, they were taught. Teaching to me is the single greatest act of defiance, because every single day you are encouraging children to snap reality in half and look into another world. You're asking them to dream beyond anything that has ever been dreamed. You are telling them that the impossible is no more. You are looking into their little souls and telling them that they have such big dreams, and you're going to fill them up with more. You're going to give them the knowledge that they need, the desire they need, the inspiration that they need, so that on this day they will change the world. You are the dream makers. You are the people responsible for ensuring that every single child sits in front of, stands in front of, dances in front of an amazing teacher. You know, sometimes people say, because people say, that I beat on teachers. You pick on teachers. You don't pick on somebody you love. I don't want bad teachers in the building. Do you? I don't want bad teachers to exist. Do you? Do you want to be held responsible for the person who didn't teach the kid to read? Now you got that kid next year and you're supposed to deal with their scores? You cool with that? Are you okay? Are you comfortable with the fact that they come from this other teacher's class on fire, and then you only get 45 minutes to calm down, teach what you're supposed to teach, and get them out to the next class? Is that okay with you? Did you get into this profession for that, so that you can explain the negativity that comes from those people? You see, when I think about what my son asked me, I think about what I do. And what I do is I take people's children and I put them in front of people who are amazing. I had a couple year-end evaluations. You know, 'tis the season. And I call myself a bit of a career counselor, you understand? Because teaching ain't for everybody. And when you love somebody, you tell them, that dress does not look good on you. It's a nice color. Really nice color. Love the patterns. Not on you. And so I had a conversation with a couple of my colleagues, and they will receive competent evaluations. And I explained to each one of them separately that competence at my school is the enemy of excellence. You being regular means that we can't be amazing. You jogging means we can only go so fast. And then, you know, people say, well, I'm trying hard. You are. Unfortunately, that's not why we're here. We're not here for effort, we're here for output. You don't want a doctor that's going to try and save your behind. I got one. You don't want a hairdresser that's going to try and do your hair right. You got to know the audience you're working with. Dr. Death, hair, oh. We have an obligation to take this mighty profession, this mighty calling, and make it better than it was when we came into it. I've been in too many communities where too many people seem to understand certain things. I need y'all to be confused by them. Don't understand them. Don't understand why black and Latino boys are the most suspended. Don't understand that, because I don't get it. Don't understand why a Latina girl sitting next to a white girl is reading below her. Don't understand that. Don't explain it away. This country, in its mighty liberty, only promises that it'll allow us to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It talks about bringing us your what? Tired, poor, huddled masses, not your coming from a PhD family who already taught you how to read, been reading to you since you've been in the womb, so therefore I can teach you because they already taught you, so I'm going to take these scores and claim them as my own kind of kid. Pay me to teach somebody who already knows how to do something so I can take credit for what they already know how to do and then blame their parents when they don't do it right kind of kid. Not that kind of kid. Tired, poor, huddled masses yearning to be free. Those people didn't even speak English coming to this country for a dream and a promise. See, a dream ain't nothing but sleep. It's sleep. Who wants to take credit for dreams? Some things happen in the middle of the night in your head, man. You wake up and say, I'm not telling anybody. Me and the principal and the custodian, I'm good. And just keep that in my mind. Just scrub it out. Get out of there, get out of there. What hurts me to my core is when I go to community after community and I see children being robbed of their humanity. A job is not a right, it's a privilege, and education is. So those of y'all fighting to keep jobs ought to fight for kids first. See, because last time I checked, children didn't choose to be here. They're there because we put them there. I don't believe that education is confined to a building. I believe it happens all the time. And God knows I would love it if more of my parents came out to football games and basketball games. It hurts me to my core. My son asked me, do I cry? You know when I cry? On senior night. Every single senior night. I don't cry because I'm just an emotional dude, because I'm not. But I cry because it's senior night. It's one freaking night that they got to come to the game. Just one damn night. You got to come to the game one single night. And you ain't even got to stay the whole game. You just got to come to the first part where they come down, right? And they walk with the flowers and they hand the flowers to you and you get and do the thing. And y'all go off and everybody takes their pictures, and that's senior night. I hate senior night. I hate it. I hate it because I stand there at the back end of that line while one of our teachers, we call him J-Rod. And what J-Rod will do is he goes out and he walks and he grabs the girl or the boy and walks down with them, and they cry from the back to the front. And he goes and grabs another one and they cry from the back to the front. I cry every senior night, every season, all the time. We have an obligation. We understand what we signed up for. I can sit and tell you, well, man, I got all these kids that come from poor families and the parents never been to college, and as a result of that, I can't. No. I knew what I was signing up for. I knew exactly what I signed up for. And for those of you who don't know by now, you signed up for the same thing. And if this is too hard for you, find something else to do. When you talk about celebrating teachers, to me, what you do is you celebrate excellence. I was in the Hall of Fame, not in it, but at it, the Basketball Hall of Fame on Saturday. It's in Springfield, Massachusetts. And as I sat there, I saw all these greats. That's how you celebrate. There are a lot of people who played the game, but only a couple who make it to the hall. You owe it to every single child whose life you touch to look around your building and start to help some people with their career decisions. Because, see, we tell kids, if you see something wrong, you should tell somebody, right? Kids like, nah, man, I ain't snitching. You say, no, you better snitch. You better tell somebody. How dare you not tell somebody? If you see something wrong, you better say something. To me, when you keep your mouth shut and you know that person next to you or somewhere in that building can't teach, you are worse than anyone who's letting a drug dealer get away with it. Because you know better. You know better. It is not okay that a person is in the building, the same building as you, and they're not teaching. Kids can't get that year back. That fourth grade teacher doesn't work out, it's over. And listen, I get it. We opened an elementary school this year. And one thing I've learned, you learn a lot about little kids. And like the little ones, they hug a lot. And they full speed, full contact hug. It's like, Dr. Barry, poof. And they do it in swarms. So it's like, poof, 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 poof. And they take you down. And they seem to carry stuff on their hands. I try to explain to them, Dr. Perry's dry cleaner doesn't like this. But they do not listen. You know that the children that we meet every day want nothing but love. I don't care how big they are. I don't care how small they are. They all want the same exact thing. They want to be treated like you love them. If you did nothing more than that, then they would go through fire for you. If you've ever been loved by a child, you know that there is no greater love. When that child reaches out to you and says that I want you one day to come to my wedding, and they're 9. Or when they call you auntie or mom or uncle or dad or any of those other things that they call you, you know, man, come on. Are you serious? You've been loved by people before, but you ain't never been loved like that. And so it's in those times that I cry. I cry because I know all they want is to be loved. And we believe the highest form of affection at our school is correction. You show somebody how to do something right because you care about them. When a child leaves your classroom and does not know how to do what you expected them to know how to do, you have an obligation to fix that. When you celebrate teaching, it's teaching. See, I've had a bunch of people do talking. I had this Spanish teacher. He was really good at talking. I heard him speak Spanish, so I know he spoke Spanish. I may look like I speak Spanish, but I'm just fronting. I don't know anything about it. He spoke Spanish very, very well. The problem was he's the only person in the room who spoke Spanish. And I paid that gentleman to teach people Spanish, not to perform Spanish. You understand there's a difference. I've been through many an evaluation. You know, 'tis the season, right? I've been sat down in many a observation. They say, but I taught it. You said it. I heard you say it. You didn't teach it. Because you're the only person in the room who got it. In fact, I knew how to do it before you started talking. By the time you finished, I didn't know how to do it. And so I know damn well that I wasn't the only person like, what is she talking about? Listen, man, teaching is not for everybody, and this is a good thing to know. It's good to know what you're not good at. See, when I was in college, one of my friends got me real hyped up because, there was this song with Luther Vandross and Gregory Hines called To Be Loved or something like that. And so, when you're young, you think you can sing, right? Because everybody wanted to be a New Edition where I was from. So I was Ralph. So y'all surprised? So a man, because he could sing, right? He convinced me to get on stage with him and sing. Now, it took him a while, right? He's like, come on, man. Because what he say to me, they're going to be girls. I just set myself on fire. I was having a tough year. Thank you for laughing at my pain. What kind of people are you? So I got up on stage and my part came. He was Luther. So I got up and nothing came out. It's like, and the girls didn't clap. I learned that night that I should not be up here singing. Sometimes the best thing that we can do to celebrate education is to make sure that the only people who are educating are the people who can't educate. Sometimes the best thing that we can do for our friends is to tell them what they're not good at. Because here's where we are. So many of us are working in communities where all they have is us. We're it. We're the whole game. We feed them. We clothe them. I can't tell you how many uniforms I bought. Right? I don't even know. I don't even know. And I don't even care. We love them and we teach them. When you accept this calling, when you really accept this calling, it sits deep in your soul. It won't let you sleep. You're the one that goes to the cookout and arranges the little kids in a game, right? And then you organize them for the cookout, like the littlest to the biggest. No, everybody gets a turn, right? And then you got them in the food line and the little ones holding their little plate and everybody and that's you. That's a teacher. A teacher doesn't say silly things like, man, I can't wait till Friday. I love the school when kids are not here. You heard it. I bet you won't say it in my school. That's a career counseling moment. Because I hear. Every single one of you understands the responsibility that we have, and the question that you have to ask yourself is this what you are called to do? Is this what you are called to do? If tomorrow money were no object and you could do anything in the world, would you go back to your building? Would you go back to your calling? Would that be what you did? Because let me be clear with you. I understand the other side is I don't particularly like grown people. Y'all are hard to work with. A little aggravating. The kids, I'm cool with them. But the grown people, and believe me, I work in a public school system. See, a lot of people look at our success and they say, well, you pick your kids. Yeah, right. Well, your parents are different parents. Really? Really? How awfully classist of you. How do you know who my parents are? Well, they self-selected themselves. It's choice for the entire district, genius. See, you're not here to learn about excuses. You're here to learn about strategies about how to teach people better, right? So kill the excuses. When you see success, do something with it. Learn from it. Don't sit there and begrudge it. There are probably 50 schools in Hartford, Connecticut, somewhere thereabouts. We've had visitors at Capital Prep from all over the world, literally all over the world. I'm big in South Korea, recognize that. Oh, God. Not one school in Hartford has visited us. Not one. We've had 4 superintendents since we started the school 7 years ago. Not one has visited our school. They will now. So I say this. My son asked me, do I cry? I cry all the time. But the thing that I cry about is the thing that I love the most, which is kids. The Blind Side, bad as a movie that is, I cried. I was on the plane like, y'all need to cut this off. Even that horrible movie, Freedom Riders, I was like, man, this is ridiculous. Why they Lean On Me? I was like, I was a mess with Lean On Me. I ain't gonna lie. If y'all put Lean On Me, if you put that on right now, I'd walk out of here. Ask yourself, if you truly want to celebrate teachers, what are you prepared to do to celebrate teachers? Are you prepared to make it the truest, highest calling? Are you prepared to make sure that the only people who get to teach are the greatest teachers that you know? Or will you let what has happened up to this point continue? If you believe in the children and you believe in this calling, then you know one thing. You owe it to your children to show them why you cry. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you, Dr. Perry. What a wonderful way to start the convention. Thank you. Thank you for being with us this morning, and special thanks to our virtual audience for joining us today. Dr. Perry will be signing his book, When Push Comes to Shove, for those delegates who have purchased the books and are in the audience and who have received a wristband. The signing will begin at 10:15 a.m. in this theater. We ask that only those convention delegates with wristbands be seated in the front rows of the theater to prepare for the signing. Now, the exhibit hall opens. It's already open 12 minutes ago. Go and enjoy new products, demonstrations, technology solutions, and a wealth of products. Please be sure to experience the IRA exhibits over the theater and over the next 3 days. Thank you for coming.
Hi, I'm Cynthia, and I'm a mom of 4, and it was by being a mom that Letters Alive was born.
Cynthia.
We adopted our 2 sons from Latvia, and teaching them to read was a real struggle.
Cynthia?
But then we discovered some cool new technology we could use to teach our kids to read. Gertie, I'm kind of in the middle of something.
I was just... Oh my gosh. You're doing your IRA thing, aren't you?
Yep.
This is so embarrassing.
Kind of for both of us.
Oh! Are you talking about Letters Alive?
I was about to.
Why don't you just show people using Letters Alive?
Gertie, actually, that's a great idea.
I know, right?
Children are giving lots of attention to some new 3D technology called Letters Alive.
The best thing come out.
fun.
All right, Gertie, take us out.
Okay, as a show special, in every registration bag is $100 in Gertie bucks. Good for $100 off the price of Letters Alive.
So come by our booth for a live demo.
See you there! That's my face on money.